Mom, before you get upset, let me explain.
I'm like, oh my God, Alicia, you're pregnant? Please tell me you're not pregnant. And she goes, she was very mature. All my girls were very mature for their age. So I trusted her.
Karina initially thought that this relationship wouldn't last.
I didn't give it much longevity. I was like, okay, she'll move on to bigger and better things.
But once in college and away from her mother's watchful eye, Alicia and Jermaine's relationship only heated up.
The attention he was giving her became more focused and more intense.
He would come to the campus. He would actually stay overnight.
Baby, you leaving? During the weekends.
But now, after a quick trip to Jermaine's, Alicia has completely vanished.
After texting her friend Sade and saying she was walking across campus, she just disappeared.
She was coming to my dorm and never showed up. So I stayed up a little longer just to see if she would show, and she didn't. So I assumed that she went back to her dorm.
But on Monday, when Alicia is a no-show for a class they have together, alarm bells go off.
When I called her, it was as if her phone was off.
Hey, it's Alicia. I'm not here right now, but go ahead and leave me a message and I'll call you back when I can.
Girl, where are you? Call me back, please.
She does not miss class. We take school way too serious.
That's when people became very concerned.
She wouldn't just disappear unless something was wrong.
At Eastern Connecticut State University, there was little doubt that 20-year-old Alicia Wiley was going places.
Alicia had done so well in high school that she earned a full scholarship. She studied both psychology as well as biology so that she could attend medical school and become a psychiatrist.
She wanted to come back and work with the kids in the inner city to, help them work through a lot of things.
But now, Alicia's bright future may be in jeopardy.
Saturday night, Alicia texted her friend Sade and said she was coming over, but she never showed.
Alicia also didn't show for her Monday morning class.
Girl, where are you?
Monday's the day that we have our science class together, and she didn't show up, and I was freaking out. I'm, asking a bunch of people questions if they've seen her. They said no. She hadn't attended any of her classes.
After following up with her friends, Sade goes to the campus police.
At that moment, I knew it was real and something was wrong.
I would like to report a missing student, my friend Alicia Wiley. These are the last time I talked to her.
I went down to campus safety and they started asking me questions.
Okay. So that text message Saturday was the last time you heard from her?
Yes.
They started asking me who was the last person she was with, and I let them know about Jermaine because, of course, she was with him last.
But he dropped her off.
The last text message from Alicia, he said she was actually walking up the hill.
Was she having any trouble in her classes?
At the end of the semester, there's a tremendous uptick in potential stress because you're trying to study and you're trying to juggle and manage all of your classes and get papers turned in.
But according to Sade, Alicia always stayed on top of her schoolwork.
We were always in the library. We were always studying. And Alicia took that very serious.
No, she would never skip class.
Eastern Connecticut State University Police very quickly realized that there's a significant situation on their hands.
After talking to Sade, campus authorities request officers make contact with Alicia's family.
West Haven Police Department had come to our house about 3:15 in the afternoon. And he had said he was coming to inquire about Alicia Wiley. And I was like, why? And he said Alicia had not been seen on the college campus since April 20th. And my world, my life, all ended.
Karina was frightened and overwhelmed and scared for her daughter's safety.
So you have to understand, this is what she's been working for all this time. She's not going to just walk away from that and not let her family.
After the interview, West Haven police call in reinforcements.
The investigation is now ramping up, and they call in the Eastern District Major Crime Squad.
One of the first things the state police investigators do is reach out to Alicia's boyfriend, 30-year-old Jermaine Richards.
The state
This is all my fault.
What do you mean?
And Alicia had gotten into an argument. And she had gotten out of his car near campus.
He said he'd let her out on Main Street.
It is only 2 blocks to the main entrance of Eastern Connecticut State University.
What was your fight about?
The typical stuff. He was just in the mood, stressing over finals that week.
As sweet as Alicia could be, she was temperamental sometimes, you know. She just get into her own little moods.
What time did you drop her off?
Like around 11 o'clock.
It was around the same time that Sade had gotten the second text from Alicia.
I got another text message saying that she was actually walking up the hill.
He said the last he saw her was walking up Wyndham Street towards the campus.
What did you do after that?
Just went and got some gas and I went home.
Did you try to reach out to Alicia after that?
No, sir. Kind of wanted to give her time to cool off.
Thank you so much for your time. Free to go.
Detectives contact his mother, who confirms that Jermaine had brought Alicia by their house on Saturday afternoon.
She said that Jermaine and Alicia were still at the house when she left for work around 5 that evening.
But then, Jermaine's mother says something that really grabs detectives' attention.
While talking to them about Alicia and Jermaine's relationship, she mentioned how happy she was that he had found such a great girl after the toxic relationship he had had with a woman named Latrice.
Jermaine Richards was involved with a woman by whom he had had a child.
According to his mom, their breakup had been ugly.
He had a restraining order against her.
The disappearance of Alicia Wiley have just learned that her boyfriend, Jermaine Richards, has a volatile relationship with the mother of his child, Latrice Marshall.
After speaking to his mom, she let it slip that Jermaine had a child with another woman.
That relationship had ended and resulted in a restraining order being imposed.
Now, detectives wanted to know if she had been anywhere near campus the night that Jermaine's new girlfriend disappeared.
That afternoon, detectives bring Jermaine's ex,
Why would I?
Because she took your boyfriend.
No, she can have him.
She told the officers that she was done with him and she had nothing to do with Alicia's disappearance.
So why'd he take a restraining order out against me?
Because he's a liar.
Latrice claimed that it was just a tactic on Jermaine's part just to make it harder for her to get child support.
And if you want to find Alicia, you ought to talk to Jermaine.
Why's that?
He said Jermaine was a very manipulative person and very controlling.
Is Latrice telling the truth about Jermaine? Or is she just trying to divert suspicion from herself?
And where were you Saturday night?
Home. I have a 4-year-old.
She also said that her mother could vouch for her.
When detectives follow up with Latrice's mom, she confirms that her daughter was home that night.
But when detectives dug into Latrice's insinuation that Jermaine had something to do with Alicia's disappearance, they also came up empty.
He had no criminal record. They weren't able to find anything that would indicate that he was capable of harming Alicia.
Detectives also find video surveillance that confirms at least some of Jermaine's account on the night Alicia disappeared.
Whatever happened to Alicia could have happened just off campus.
All anyone knew is that she had gotten out of Jermaine's car and was walking back towards campus.
People thought maybe that, this could have been someone who kidnapped her.
So maybe there was a predator on campus.
Days pass with no sign of Alicia, and the family mobilizes to conduct their own search in parallel to the police.
We were on social media. We got search groups together.
She got her neighbors, family. There were so many people out looking for Alicia.
They posted pictures, they talked to people.
The family also makes a public appeal for help finding Alicia.
I just told them about my baby. I told them who she was and that she was taken. She didn't walk away. She wasn't missing, but she was taken. And I just wanted her back.
But when detectives pull Alicia's phone records, they start to wonder if her mother's wish will ever come true.
After the text messages to Sade Burke, there is no communication ever again from Alicia Wiley's cell phone.
However, the phone records also reveal that Sade wasn't the only person Alicia had been texting that evening.
There are texts from her telephone to the telephone of a friend of hers, a young man.
He was a fellow Eastern student named Darius Jensen.
There's an exchange of texts, and she said, "What time do you get off work?"
They were supposed to be meeting at 11 p.m. that night.
Investigators searching for 20-year-old Alicia Wiley now know that shortly before she disappeared, she was planning to meet with a fellow student named Darius Jensen.
They were supposed to meet up that evening after he got off from work at 11 p.m.
It was roughly around the time that the texts were sent from Alicia's phone to Sade Burke.
She told me that she was going to visit me at my dorm.
It made detectives wonder if Alicia had simply forgotten about her prior arrangements with Darius, or if she was purposely blowing him off.
To find out, detectives bring Darius in for questioning.
He might have been responsible for her disappearance.
Darius seems willing to cooperate when he sits down with detectives.
He didn't deny that he was texting Alicia that night.
We've known each other for years.
He was someone that was a good friend of Alicia since they went to high school.
In fact, he told the officers that they had been dating at one point.
So was this like a booty call?
It wasn't like that. We were just gonna just hang out.
He insisted that they were just friends at this point. Friends at this point.
So why'd you two break up?
You know, she met someone.
He said Jermaine was the reason that they had broken up.
However, that's not all that Darius has to say about Jermaine.
He told the officers that it was really Jermaine who they should be looking at.
And why is that?
I ran into her a few days ago.
Alicia had confided in him that Jermaine had become very controlling.
It seemed as though the love was fading. It also seemed as though she wasn't happy, more so because she felt like she couldn't breathe, that the relationship was more on the suffocating end.
He was very jealous, possessive, wanted to control her. And I think once Alicia went off to college, she matured and she wasn't sure that he was the right person for her.
He said she was trying to break up with him.
She wanted to end it. He was concerned about how he would react to that.
If Darius is telling the truth, could that explain Alicia's disappearance?
If Alicia was trying to break up with Jermaine, that would definitely give him motive.
Regardless of their suspicions, they still needed to rule out Darius.
So what did you do Saturday night, since Alicia didn't show?
Going back to the dorm.
Okay, you're free to go.
When detectives follow up on Darius's story, his alibi checks out.
In order to get into any of the dormitories, you have to have like a key fob to get in.
The college records reveal that he entered the building a little after 11 p.m.
Detectives also pulled the surveillance footage from his dorm, and it confirmed that Darius was alone.
Darius appears to be another dead end.
No one had any information. We did not know what had happened.
The detectives were very open about how the investigation was going, but I was convinced that Alicia was alive.
But when a new witness contacts detectives, all of her hopes could be shattered.
A friend of Jermaine, Xavier Barnes, came forward.
Me and Jermaine, we grew up together.
A period of time had gone by where they had not seen each other. And then in the spring of 2013, they began to see each other a bit.
We were hanging out and he started talking about, that missing girl.
Alicia Wiley.
Yeah.
Richards confided to this friend that things weren't perfect with Alicia.
He told him about a time that Jermaine came over and was telling him about social media messages that Alicia had sent, telling him that she wanted to break up with him.
But it was what Jermaine said to Xavier that raised red flags.
During the course of this discussion with his friend, Richards said she doesn't know who she's messing with.
It's not over, you not going nowhere.
I really think he did something to her.
Xavier believed Jermaine was responsible for Alicia's disappearance.
Where you think you going? You ain't going nowhere. What's wrong with you? You went up.
A friend of Jermaine Richards has just told detectives investigating the disappearance of 20-year-old Alicia Wiley that Jermaine had made threatening statements about his missing girlfriend.
According to his friend, prior to her disappearance, Jermaine had said, quote, he was going to get rid of Alicia.
He was like, she doesn't know who she's messing with.
When the friend inquired as to what he was talking about, Richards replied, I know what I'm doing.
What did he mean by that?
He ain't say. He ain't say.
Xavier also tells detectives that he texted Jermaine after he heard that Alicia was missing.
He had asked about what happened to Alicia, and Richards never replied. Certainly one in that position, when asked that question, if he wasn't responsible, would have vehemently denied it.
Coupled with what Alicia's ex Darius had told him about Jermaine, Detectives decide it's time to take a closer look at the missing woman's boyfriend.
Jermaine's the last person that detectives can place with Alicia. It was at Jermaine's house in Bridgeport that Saturday afternoon.
Have a seat, man.
Hoping to learn the truth about the couple's relationship, detectives circle back to her friend, Sade Burke, who opens the interview with a stunning admission.
There were some things I didn't tell you before. Certain things Alicia told me in confidence I wasn't very forthcoming with initially, because in my head everything was okay, which I was hoping and praying. If everything is okay, she would kill me if I revealed any of that information.
But now, 3 days after her disappearance, Sade is willing to lay it all out there.
She realized that something serious had happened to Alicia, and she needed to tell them everything.
I think she was scared of Jermaine.
What makes you think that?
I mean, something she said once.
I don't know how the conversation came about, but we were talking, and out of nowhere, she jokingly says, if I ever go missing one day, just tell them that Jermaine got me.
For detectives, that was a pretty shocking statement.
Sade says she didn't take Alicia too seriously.